So it's 2 days after May 4th. It's the month a Star Wars movie usually is released. I'm talking about a Star Wars movie, but the Force is not strong with this one. So I'm going to be reviewing the first three Star Wars movies, as in the first three chronologically, in May, because just so I can have something Star Wars related to talk about. Then I'll review the original trilogy in the first 3 Wednesdays of December before Episode 7 comes out. So the first 3 Wednesdays of this month, May, are going to be dedicated to the prequels. And without further ado, let's talk about The Phantom Menace. The movie opens up with 2 Jedi, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, as they head towards a Trade Federation ship hovering over the planet of Naboo to try and negotiate some peace treaties to let them not occupy the planet, but things don't go according to plan, so as the Trade Federation invade the planet, the Jedi are forced to escort the Queen of Naboo, Queen Amidala, to Coruscant to try to speak with the Senate to let them release them from the invasion. I don't know. You don't even care. So on their way to Coruscant, the ship gets damaged by a Trade Federation attack. So they have to land on Tatooine, the remote desert planet. And as he's looking for spare parts, Qui-Gon Jinn encounters a young slave boy named Anakin Skywalker, who's strong in the Force and helps free Anakin and hopes to take him to Coruscant to meet with the Jedi Council to supposedly train him to become a Jedi Knight. So with this review and the rest to follow, there's going to be spoilers, because everyone's seen the Star Wars saga multiple times. We all know it, for better and for worse. So there's really nothing new I can offer outside of my own personal opinion. So why don't we start with my experience of seeing it for the first time. I was 8 years old when Phantom Menace came out. And the year before, my parents showed me the original Star Wars trilogy for the first time, and I fell in love with it. So I was with everyone who was excited for a new Star Wars movie, because it was the first time I got to see one in the theater, and it would be made for my generation, pretty much. And I remember loving it when it came out. But again, I was 8 years old. And I had a bunch of crunch addiction. But as the years went by and I got more into film, I rewatched all 6 Star Wars movies and realized how great the first 3 movies were for its story, characters, how it borrows from other mythologies and folklore. And then I looked at the prequels, and we'll get to my opinion on the other 2 in the following weeks. But for Phantom Menace, it sucks. I know I'm not being original by saying it sucks, but it's one of those things where it's like, you loved it as a kid, but you look back at it, it was like, what the fuck was I thinking? There's nothing that I can say about this movie without sounding like a broken record from what everyone else has said. It's boring, the acting is bad, the dialogue is horrible, the villain is useless, it's just not a very good movie at all. So what's wrong with it? Well, let's start off with the acting. Qui-Gon Jinn is played by Liam Neeson, who is a capable actor. He's proven himself to be a capable actor. But here, he's just very boring, uninteresting, and Qui-Gon as a character is kind of a bad Jedi, honestly. Like, he doesn't follow the Council's rules. He kind of makes dumb decisions at points because he thinks it's the right thing. It's just, I don't know, they could have explained it a little better, but as it stands, Qui-Gon is just not a very good Jedi. Ian McGregor plays Obi-Wan Kenobi, and at this point in the saga, Obi-Wan Kenobi is a Padawan, and not the wise Jedi Master that he ends up being in the first Star Wars. Which I can buy into, that this is a Obi-Wan that is still young, he's still learning, but unfortunately Ian McGregor is not very good. And we've seen Ian McGregor to be good in other movies also. But again, it's like, no actor in this movie comes across as good, no matter how talented they are. Unless... No, there's no unless. But I'll say Ian McGregor does get better by the time we hit Revenge of the Sith. But we'll get to that later. Natalie Portman plays Queen Amidala. And at this point, she's 18 years old. She's still a typically new actress, I think. But again, we've seen her be good in other things before, like The Professional and Mars Attacks, where here she just comes across as static-eyed, she's not very good, she's boring, Her tone of voice is just dull. I'm grateful that she really did become a capable actress as the years went by. But if people have only seen this and not seen Black Swan, then people will be like, this is an Academy Award-winning actress? Okay, let's talk about the character everyone wants me to get to, that everyone hates, Jar Jar Binks. There's not much I can say. Yes, he's dumb. Yes, he's annoying. Yes, he's a racist stereotype. But honestly, in terms of the racist stereotype, I don't think he's as bad as Watto. Once we get to Tatooine, Watto is just very much, you owe me Republic credits. No, Republic credits are no good out here. I need something more real. My tricks don't work on me, only money. So I apologize for that impression, but that gives you an idea of how Watto is. Now, as bad as all the actors are in this movie, as bad as Jar Jar Binks is, they are all shielded by the fact that Jake Lloyd is Anakin Skywalker, who quite possibly is the worst actor on the planet. I know Tommy Wiseau exists for that role, but honestly, you have more enjoyment watching Tommy Wiseau. With Anakin Skywalker, Jake Lloyd is supposed to be the kid who becomes Darth Vader. He's supposed to play a very young Darth Vader, but you never buy it. And it's just like, he's very cutesy. Again, he's dull, he's annoying, just in his voice. Like, are you an angel? Or, now this is pod racing. Ugh. Every time I hear those lines, my brain hurts. But that also gives you an idea of how bad the dialogue is. It's just really a poorly written movie. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not on the bandwagon of this movie is god-awful all around. I mean, it sucks, but there are things that I like about it. For one, I like the worlds. One of the things that the original movies could never do was create these vast, beautiful worlds. Like, Naboo is a beautiful place to look at, and even when we see the Gungan culture underwater, it's pretty unique. Tatooine it's Tatooine. There's not much to really add about it. Now, Coruscant, I love the idea of a planet that's just one entire city, but admittedly, it is the most boring part of the movie. I mean, we go there because Queen Amidala has to convince the Senate to let go of Naboo from the Trade Federation invasion, but it's just like, we don't give a shit about politics in Star Wars. But then the other purpose is to get Anakin Skywalker to hopefully train in the ways of the Force, which he gets rejected, so it's almost like that whole trip was pretty pointless, I gotta say. Even when I loved the movie, I was like, yeah, this is very boring. And I was like so relieved when we left Coruscant. But what else do I like? Well, the pod race starts off cool. I like the idea of the pod race, how it's just like this grand Ben-Hur type event. The first two rounds are kind of cool and exciting to watch, but once we get to the third round, it's like, okay, we know who's gonna win. We know Anakin's gonna win, so just move on. We don't care anymore. And I know a lot of people hate the pod race, but I think the reason I like it is because before then, the movie is very boring, and it's like, oh, thank God, something's happening. And then some of the other action scenes are cool, most notably the space battle above Naboo with the Naboo pilots and the droid fighters. And then, obviously, the lightsaber fight between Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Maul, which is very well choreographed, and the music by John Williams is also really great. As bad as these movies are, John Williams' score and the sound effects really saved this movie for me from being god-awful. But unfortunately, it's still a bad movie. Again, I said it's boring, the acting, dialogue is bad. Darth Maul is a useless villain. He's cool looking, the Zabrak race is cool, but he's a useless villain. There's just not much else to say that's been said. I mean, yeah, there are some cute moments like seeing C-3PO and R2-D2 meet for the first time, since they're two of the most iconic film duos ever. But also, this movie just starts the saga in a place where it doesn't really need to start. We'll start it in the Clone Wars. Start it with a mature Anakin Skywalker during his Jedi days. We don't need to see him as a kid. We don't need to know that he's a slave. It's just, yeah, it's not very good. I don't hate it, but don't waste your money on it. I cannot recommend this movie at all. Even when you're introducing your kids to Star Wars for the first time, I'm not going to introduce this movie to them at all. It's a waste of time. And that's my review for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Leave a comment and tell me what you thought of the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Like, subscribe, and this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.